To Blue Vortex Chapter 13 just changed everything. Kashin Koji has ascended from being an underused side character to possibly the most important character in the story. This dude can see all of our possible futures using the most insane power in the Naruto franchise known as the 10 Directions, or Future Sight. There's so much to unpack here. So as we know, Koji can see all possible futures from the current timeline we're on. Each timeline can branch into countless other timelines. For example, if Boruto died to Kawaki in Chapter 79, then Code would have won and the Divine Tree would have grown. Or if Naruto was killed in his fight with Ishiki, then Ishiki would have resurrected in Kawaki's body, and again, the Divine Tree would have grown. At seemingly any time, Koji can tap into this Future Sight power and view the infinite tree of possible futures. According to translations from Salads and Bolts, the name 10 Directions, or 10 Paths, refers to every possible direction one can go in the third dimension. North, northeast, east, southeast, south, southwest, west, northwest, up, and down. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but I just wanted to share it because it sounded really interesting. So, I've got to say, that moment when Koji first unlocks the 10 Directions Future Sight power is pretty awesome. I really like the visual of all the videotapes showing like different events we've witnessed throughout the story so far. It was fun to just hop down memory lane for a moment in time. And it really puts a whole new perspective on the Ishiki fight. In that dying moment, Koji realized that the world's future still needed him. Everything looked grim, even if Amano's plan to kill Ishiki succeeded. Despite Ishiki dying, the threats he created would continue to live on in endless timelines for the universe. Prior to this, Koji was satisfied with dying as a tool for Amano, fulfilling his life's purpose. But within the blink of an eye, he unlocked that power and changed his fate for good, realizing he needed to escape and carry on living because his job was not done yet. Honestly, I don't know how bro managed to recover from that seemingly fatal attack from Ishiki without any healing powers, but props to him. Koji's got that dog in him. Another interesting bit of information we learned is that Koji was able to determine that omnipotence is real because he saw it happen in his Future Sight. We're even shown him watching the moment Ada unleashes her power in Chapter 79. It's the very reason he knows to trust Boruto, despite his mind telling him that Kawaki is the Hokage's son. That's some next level IQ there. The only other person to figure out omnipotence on their own was the genius Shikamaru, and he did it without any kind of crazy power like Future Sight. An interesting theory being implied this chapter is that Delta may be able to awaken a Shinjutsu as well. Koji said that Amano put Shibai cells in every Kara member, but only Code, Damon, and Ada were able to unlock it. It was believed that Koji was incompatible or unlucky, but the fact that he awakened it in his final moments before death means that that power was sitting idle in his body all this time. And a power is likely sitting idle in Delta too. She'll need to be pushed to her limit just like Koji to awaken her inner Shibai DNA. I don't know how they're going to be able to top Future Sight and Omnipotence at this point though. These abilities are about as broken as they could possibly become. All I can think of is reality warping and time control, but that would start to touch on story elements that I honestly want Boruto to just stay away from. If fights devolve into absurd reality manipulation battles, then we'll have strayed so far from the concept of ninjutsu and taijutsu to the point that it's not even like enjoyable anymore. Now obviously, like Boruto pointed out, the future is still going to play out based on what actions everyone takes. It's not like there's any predestined fate going on here, despite what Momoshiki seems to believe. Koji has confirmed this with the countless timeline variations he's witnessed. So then what's the main advantage to Future Sight? Well, according to Koji, it's information. Knowing all possible futures can help you make decisions on what moves to make and when to make them, especially when Koji is ever able to find that slim chance of success despite how unlikely it may seem. For example, Koji was able to see that Boruto becomes overpowered as hell in some of the timelines with his Future Sight, so he took it upon himself to train Boruto to reach one of those timelines. Perhaps they had greater odds of leading to a good ending. The biggest threat that Koji could see is what he called the worst possible future. The Ten Tails breaking free and evolving into humanoid Shinju with a will of their own. Now mind you, this is a flashback we're watching, long before the current events in the manga take place, and if you've been paying attention, it looks like we are currently in that worst possible future. R.I.P. That's tough. It would have been possible to stop this future if Boruto destroyed the Ten Tails host body in time, but as we know from Chapter 4, he was like merely seconds too late. Koji even mentioned that there will be 400 of these guys. If that's including the normal Clawgram, then maybe we'll be okay, but if that number is only counting the sentient evolved Shinju, then this world is fucked. There's no stopping a 400 member army of Jura level opponents. And even worse, Koji was able to see that in practically every outcome within the worst possible future, Jura kills Boruto and grows the Divine Tree. So they're gonna have to take it upon themselves to change the future essentially, or reach that one slim timeline of success. Of course, Boruto was still adamant that no matter what, he was not going to kill Kawaki to save their future, which is pretty admirable of him. If there's one thing he's good at, it's being consistent with his goal all along. All the fanbase wants him to switch switch up and kill Kawaki, but I like that he's not wavering and staying true to his morals. Killing Kawaki would remove Jura's food source for the Ten Tails and get revenge for all the things Kawaki did to him, but that's not the way Boruto does things. In many ways, he resembles his dad far more than he does Sasuke. On that same topic though, I read an interesting theory that Koji is purposely excluding the fact that every good ending ends in the death of Kawaki, implying that at some point, Boruto may have to confront this ideology of saving Kawaki from the dark side and face the facts. As we know from the flash forward Boruto versus Kawaki fight, Boruto exclaims to himself, was this the only possible outcome? If that was in reference to Koji's future sight, then that would be absolutely insane next level foreshadowing. I usually make fun of people for trying to find foreshadowing references in every single little detail in the anime or manga, but this time I think there's some actual validity here. Anyways, back with Konoha, we wrap up this exposition heavy chapter by showing off Himawari's incredible healing powers once again. She literally is the Nine Tails. Kawaki and Konohamaru decided to take this perfect opportunity to capture Boruto and put him in jutsu sealing handcuffs while he's knocked unconscious. Things are about to go down in Konoha. We know Shikamaru is on Boruto's side, but that's only gonna last as long as Omnipotence hasn't taken over his mind again. Only time will tell if Shikamaru still remembers or not, because things are gonna play out very differently for Boruto if he doesn't have the Hokage on his side in this situation. He's about to get the interrogation session of his life if the village still thinks he's a traitor and the murderer of the 7th Hokage and Hinata. Back in the Shinju hideout, Jura was able to completely revive Hidari using the Thorn Soul and confirm that his memory was still intact. These Shinju really just drop reboot cards. This shit is crazy. Hidari is also in generational aura debt at the moment after getting embarrassed by Boruto and Sarada, so bro really needs to start his training arc. Just putting it out there. The chapter ended with Matsuri looking bad as fuck. Hold up. I mean, it ended with Matsuri noticing a new Thorn Soul and putting it into the cube that I guess is able to spawn new Shinju. Someone new must have just been eaten by a Clawgram and turned into a tree. I mean, these Thorn Souls are like FIFA packs or loot crates. You never know who you're gonna unlock. But this time, I think we have a pretty good idea of who it's gonna be. Within Koji's future sight, one of his visions showed a new Shinju that looks eerily similar to my boy Shinki. And if that's the case, it's about to open up a whole new can of worms. Firstly, Shinki is an awesome character, and if that's true, then I'd be happy to see he's inadvertently making a return to the manga. Bro has been AFK since the very first arc. And if it is really him, then that means two things. Number one, we've got a Shinju that has Iron Sand Kekkei Genkai, which is about to be brutal as hell to deal with. That shit was known as the most feared weapon in the history of the Hidden Saiyan village. Being wielded by a god level character is going to be next level busted. And two, assuming Shinki was just chilling back home, that means the Clawgram have spread to other parts of the world. The Sand Village is all the way over in the Land of Wind, which coincidentally is the same place Boruto and Koji's hideout is in the flashback this chapter. Don't know if there's any correlation there, but probably doubt it. So, how far away has Code managed to spread these Clawgram? If they're all the way out eating people in the Land of Wind, we may finally be able to get more world building for once. A single chapter dedicated to showing other villages fight off the Clawgram and lose members of their own would be fucking peak, but I digress. Shinki being added to the Shinju Akatsuki seems like the most likely, and it's about to make the story even more interesting. We've really got the most ragtag group of villains at this point. We have the leader Jura being just literally the Ten Tails, Bug, Mawagi, Sasuke, and Shinki. Like, who let Kishimoto cook with this wild ass team? So in summary, I think this chapter did a fantastic job at expanding the storyline. There's so much potential with Koji's 10 Dimensions ability, and I was honestly surprised by how receptive I became to the idea so quickly. I'm usually pretty perturbed by absurd abilities and writing decisions like that, but I mess with Future Sight heavy. I'm also excited for just about every story element coming next chapter. We've got Boruto imprisoned, a new Shinju about to be revealed, Himawari's power is public knowledge now, and Koji's become a pivotal character to the story. Everything is coming along so nicely. With all that being said, I'm going to give this chapter an 8 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it. That's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I know I've been kind of inactive this past month, but don't expect that going forward. I'm going to start grinding out more Boruto videos because it's been such a fun read lately. Kind of bummed I missed out on covering the last chapter because Two Blue Vortex chapter 12 was such a banger. I seriously think if I made a video, I would rate it a 9 out of 10. So peak. Anyways, smash that like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new here, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out, boys.